Now, if you're only here for the chords, it's called Andalusian cadence, A minor, G, F, E. Have fun with it. If you want to know more about it, if you want to know how to turn that into music, I wrote a piece around these chords that I want to teach you. It's not complicated, it's not long, it's kind of like at the edge of late beginner, early intermediate, and it sounds like so. About these chords is that they're so versatile. I mean, it's not the only chord progression that's like that, but this one here, I could sit here all day long and play nothing but these chords up and down, left and right, and make music with them. Now, just to give you an idea, you could obviously strum them. That would probably be the easiest. Even if you're like more on the beginner side, you could strum them like that. It's totally fine just to get into the sound. Take your time. The second thing that you can do is you can play selected strings, pick single strings, and then lift and add fingers here and there to create some melody. Third thing I can think of would be to outline the chords, which is a bit more advanced because then you would need to know where the right notes are, right? So there are endless possibilities to play these chords to make them sound that Andalusian cadence, A minor, G, F, and E. And with that piece of music that I want to teach you, I want to kind of like kickstart your experience with these chords. And also that piece of music you will then have in your repertoire so that you can play it for someone else, for your own enjoyment. And then in the end, what I would like to see you do is to make it your own. Use these chords, make your own music, come up with own things, and see where you can take it with your abilities. Now let me teach you through it. Here are bars 1 to 8. By the way, it's Florian up here teaching guitar since 2007, and I help beginners to get to intermediate through inspiration sparking lessons like this one here, and you can find out more on highguitar.com. Now this piece of music here I call Andalusian Dance, and you can download the tabs for free, and the link is down below. It all starts on that regular A minor chord here, and I play with the guitar pick and just down picks. And I use a very thin guitar pick, as a lot of beginners do, because they're very flexible, very forgiving, and they sound good on strumming, I find. But the thing is, when you play single strings, you get a thin sound, and that's not what I am after. So if you were the same, I would not keep it flat, because that's what gives you that thin sound, but angle it slightly, and that will give you a much fatter sound. Now this will be flat, and that's angled. You hear the difference? Now the next chord would be a G major chord in our Andalusian cadence. And the thing is, I don't go to a regular G chord here, but what I do is I keep playing on the D, G, B string, and I go to that G major triad, to the G major chord. It's kind of like a stripped down version to the bare minimum of 3 notes that make up a G major chord. While I keep playing the open A and the open E string, which kind of like tie these chords together and gives you that sound here. I really love that sound. You have these open strings mixed with that triad here. And now this is the cool thing about the guitar. Whenever you have a shape just like this, where there are no open strings involved, and you don't manipulate it other than moving it left and right, it'll always be the same musical thing. So if this is a major triad here, G major triad, and I move it 2 frets to the left, then it's an F major triad, and that's what I do here in that piece of music. Again, while I keep the open A and the open E string, which tie these together, gives me that sound, and then I'm moving 1 fret to the left again, which brings the index finger out of the fretboard, but it's still the same shape. It's an E major over A. And then back to the A minor chord the second time around. And then again that G triad here, plus the pinky on the 5th fret bottom string, talking visually, because I want to have a different top note, a different high-pitched note, to give it just a variation here to make it interesting. Gives you that sound, that very same shape, the staircase shape plus the pinky. I move 2 frets to the left. And then 1 to the left again, lift the pinky, and strum down from the A string. And then I finish that off with the bass line, a very simple one, which brings us to the next part. And as you can hear, you don't have that sustained sound anymore, but it's kind of like half muted. It's a percussive sound, which you can achieve by placing that palm here right at the end of the low E string, right where the bridge inlay is. And then you will have that half muted sound. And that brings us to the next part. Here's the strumming part. This is bars 9 to 18. You'll find that these bar numbers in the tabs as well. Download them for free, use them, print them, make them yours. Now it starts with an A minor here, and I want to strum all strings, so I want to block the low E string because I don't want to hear it. And that you can do when placing the thumb on top of the neck and having this groove here kind of like locked in right at the edge of the fretboard here. And from there you let your hand and wrist hang down, let it fall down. And that flashy bit here, that skin, blocks the low E string. It can't ring anymore. And then you place your fingers on the fretboard. And you can happily strum all strings without the low E string being able to ring. Now I do that downstrokes only, and I play 4 of them on A minor. And quickly after that I want silence, so I block all strings. And I do that on both sides. So here on the left hand side I cover all strings with my pinky, I take off the pressure. And on the right hand side I cover all strings with that part of my hand here, laying it across all strings. Have a look again. Same 4 down strums on a regular G. I use this fingering here. You could go for a different one if you're more familiar with a different one. I use this one here. This is ring finger and pinky here. And keep the ring finger kind of like flat so that you block the A string. We don't want to hear that here. And again, I want silence after these 4 downstrokes. So I flatten all fingers here, take the pressure off on the left hand side, and I cover all strings on the right hand side as well. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to strum dead notes. Now if you've never done that before, it's actually not too complicated. You need to touch all strings lightly, don't press on it. And then you strum down just like you would do with a chord, and you get that percussive sound. Now if you do it and it sounds like that, you're pressing too much. Keep it light here. If it sounds like that, you're not covering all strings, so you still hear some open strings. So you need to find the sweet spot here. And then we move over to that F major 7 over C. And again, I want to block the low E string, so have that groove locked in here at the edge. Let your hand and wrist hang down, and then place all fingers on the fretboard. 4 downstrokes, then silence, flatten all fingers, cover all strings, left and right. And then we go to an irregular E major chord. And you have 2 choices here. Either you go for your regular fingering, that will be this one here, what people usually take, index, middle, and ring. Or, because from that chord before, these 3 fingers are already in the shape of an E major, you could just shift that 1 fret to the left so that the index finger is out of the fretboard, and would still have an E major chord here. Again, 4 downstrokes and then silence. And then I'll repeat that part. Let me play it slowly. And the second time around, I just play 3 downstrokes on that E, and then you can either go back to the start, I would repeat that, I would play it in a loop for a while, or you finish it. And for the sake of the video, I'll show you the end here. I'll play the bass line again palm muted, so I cover the low E string here with my palm. And then I'll play that chord sequence at the end, or it's not a chord sequence, but it's just a different chord voicings of an A minor chord, which I find sound lovely, and they're not too complicated, so they're worth your time. So regular A minor, this one here, lift the index, and then put it on fret 3 bottom string, and then lift it again, which gives that A minor some kind of melody. Again. The Andalusian cadence, A minor, G, F, and E. You can strum these chords, you can play single strings, you can outline the chords playing melody, you could even bring in other chords. Let's say you play the cadence for 4 repetitions and then you bring in like a C major, D major, for example, for a while, and then you come back to the cadence to keep it fresh. You could even play it in a different key, another guitar-friendly key. The chords will be D minor, C, B flat major, and A major. Now have fun with it, and I'll see you in the next lesson.